Hello there. Sorry I didn't get another video done since the last one. This is like sort of 48 hours later. Today has been one hell of a busy day. I've been, well, you wouldn't really call it lecturing, but teaching and improving woodbox skills at 3 firms here in Stockholm. I'm trying to remember the name of them. There's Swedish International, Important Pirates, and I can't remember the last one's name. But they did work on Kick Ass and Let the Right One In. It was actually great because they let me into the animatronics and makeup department as well. And they were showing me some stuff for some movies that are coming up. So one of the latex heads from Let the Right One In, and lots of cool stuff basically, and some of the other things they were working on. Obviously I can't say anything, and I trust you wouldn't expect me to. It was quite, it's been a very tiring day, but it's been a really enjoyable day. Over the day I've basically been totally teaching for 6 hours minimum out the entire day, probably nearer 7.5, taking into account, you know, a lot of the question stuff as well. It might actually be more than that, I don't know. I had to get up at 6 this morning. By 8 o'clock, Daniel, Perro and myself were off to Swedish International on minimal amounts of caffeine as well. So, you know, I've had a great time. And it, you know, sometimes I get a little bit of heat off people, and it is nice to be able to point out things like this. These aren't firms full of bloody beginners that I'm going to. These aren't people who are completely new at mudbox. For example, one of the guys that I was sort of teaching today worked, you know, before this firm at Weather, on Con, you know. One of the guys who worked on Face and all that. So the guy knows his shit, right? So, to be quite blunt, if those guys are prepared to learn from me, then I think that's a nice way of saying I know my stuff. And I'm not about to take notice of anybody, you know, says otherwise, basically, because I think there's a certain amount of, I hate to say it, but there's a certain amount of jealousy. A certain amount of, it may not be jealousy, just the fact that some people don't like me and the way I behave. I don't obey the rules, never have done. If you watch these, you probably know that by now. I live life on my terms, not theirs. And it'll always be that way. Sort of person I am. It's been absolutely fucking freezing here. Last night, I went out with this camera in Stockholm, taking some photographs. I did a time lapse down by the river, and you know, some panoramas and stuff like that. It was so cold that my hands actually froze to the metal tripod. I came back in, finally walked back to the hotel, which is about 2 miles away, you know, which felt like 45 miles. You know, I got in the shower, for a red hot shower to try and warm myself up, and it took about 20 minutes to even start to feel warm. But sometimes it's worth it, you know what I mean, just doing stuff. Actually at the moment I've got After Effects encoding one of the time lapses. You know, at the moment it's sort of froze most of the machine up, which is fine because as it happens, you know, I've been on reading Terry Pratchett's book, and there's no internet on here anyway, because I'm not about to pay 25 quid an hour for, you know, more internet. It is nice to have some downtime away from it, you know. Funny enough, I enjoy it. Tomorrow, I've got the 1:15 flight from Stockholm to Amsterdam, Schiphol Airport. Over a few hours, there's 3 or 4 hours to kill in Schiphol. Then I get my flight back at Newcastle, which should land somewhere around 9:30. So by the time I get picked up and drive, I'll go 10:30, you know, tomorrow night. I have to admit, I don't have I've had a great time here, and it's been very comfortable. It's always nice to get home. So I've got to start with the wife doing all the Christmas shopping and stuff then. My son's school plays on, is it Monday? I'm at the dentist for 2 fillings, Tuesday. It doesn't leave a whole lot of bloody days till Christmas, very honestly. We are a little bit worried about that, but not what you can do about it, you know. Just the way it's worked out, unfortunately. So I've had a great time while I'm over here, and I've been asked back at some point next year to the second half anyway. And you know, in the first half, I've already asked me back after the lecture. I was on Swedish television. I don't know whether I mentioned that in the last video or not. On the news programme, they interviewed me for the news, believe it or not. It's so nice of it, but you know, it's Swedish news. It seemed really strange, you know. But you know, I suppose they, you know, thought it was newsworthy enough to put on news, you know. But whatever. We don't it's something else for people to fucking whinge about and have a go at me about. You can tell I'm tired, can't you? So I'm just not in the fucking mood at the moment. I'm still waiting on a certain client paying up for something back in September. They know who they are, and this is my final bloody warning on the subject. Then I will deal with them my way. Put it that way. Like anybody else, if you do a job, I expect to be paid on time. If I don't get paid on time, it better be because the world is falling apart or about to blow. Simple as that. Now, I sort of fucked my mouse up, right, when I was getting into the taxi on the way here. The first mouse button didn't work because it fell out of the back of the taxi when like that. Now the laptop was fine, Cintiq was fine, but the mouse wasn't. And that's the new mouse. I actually got given it by the Autodesk reseller. You know, basically it's a nice red Autodesk mouse, which yeah, it might be tacky, but you know the best thing? It's dead thin, right? I don't know if you can see that, but it's really thin. So it fits better into my laptop case. So that's actually bloody practical. The only thing it's missing is a middle out mouse button, but you know I can live without that for doing stuff like this. So yeah, apart from yesterday night, I had a bit of time online yesterday night when I was at the Autodesk offices yesterday and today. Because I sort of, you know, they gave me sort of a nice little desk area to do some net stuff, because I had some, you know, client shit to deal with. I had a good time there. So this room's fantastic. But the one thing I've noticed since I've been here with the cold, I've got very, very big chapped lips, and it's really getting painful, you know, so just the cold and the humidity, which makes it feel a lot colder than it actually bloody is sometimes. But yeah, things I've learned from this trip. Rule 1, do not forget your MP3 player. Rule 2, bring a hat and gloves if it's winter. That's sort of number 1 priority. I forgot the hat and gloves. So the sun has run off with them somewhere and we couldn't track them down in time. So I've been freezing the fucking tits off, you know, most of the time walking around here. So it would be nice, you know, next time to remember them. You know the one thing that's really annoying me though? In fact, 2 things. 1, the Cintiq driver, the last one from Markham, as I don't know what they've done with it, but it's been causing me a lot of issues with using the projectors. And it would down-res the screen to 1024, and on the laptop and the Cintiq it would stretch the screen out. Now on the overhead projector it was fine, but it was, you know, I've had loads of driver crashes and stuff. But it's been, you know, that's not an issue when you do a lot of the things I've been doing like today, and because these companies do understand what issues like drivers, you know what I mean? They experience enough of that themselves. 2 of the companies were Mudbox beta testers, so that meant I could cover things that you won't hear about if you're not a beta tester until the next release. So they got the nice little heads up on a lot of stuff. Because there's some things, or it might be in the beta, there's some things that they may not be absolutely clear on, which, well, that's helped. So they've all had a great time, and it was great, you know. I've been out for a meal tonight and a drink, because I deserved one. The meal was huge. I default to sort of the fatty stuff when I'm away, right, because there's nobody to tell me not to. And I thought I'll have a burger and chips, and it was in this garlic restaurant where they even sold garlic beer, which is a lot nicer than it bloody sounds. If you get a chance, have some. Lovely. The burger was this size. Well, that's the size of the burger. Now I'm not used to burgers that size. Funny enough. It was very nice, fantastic meal. I've had a load of really nice meals while I've been over here. Only thing is,